So there's something that's been floating around social media, which is understandably making people outraged. Let me go ahead and throw that up there for you. So what that says for everybody who's just listening is not the literal Twitter account of the literal Ukrainian National Guard applauding the Azov Battalion, which is a neo-Nazi militia, for greasing their bullets with pork fat to shoot Muslim people with. And that indeed is exactly what it is. It is the Ukrainian National Guard proudly posting a video of neo-Nazis greasing the bullets so that when they fight Chechen fighters who are on the side of the Russian government, you know, the idea is, you know, Muslims don't eat pork, and if you grease the bullet in pork fat, the idea is supposed to be like, oh, you'll go right to hell if this shoots somebody who's Muslim. It's a way to be like, you know, flip their own religious beliefs against them and sort of be, you'd think killing somebody is dickish enough, but it's like killing somebody and also I'm going to, in theory, send you to hell as well. So that is disgusting. Now, by the way, don't get it twisted. Chechen fighters are fighting for the Russian government, and the Russian government did invade. But the fact of the matter is, and I've been clear on this from day one, the Ukrainian government has to purge the Azov Battalion from their ranks. And they actually are officially contract soldiers with the National Guard. So, in other words, the Ukrainian government are like, yeah, we welcome you in. And the Azov Battalion, according to their own internal numbers, they've admitted this, that like 20 or 30% or 10 to 20% of the unit were neo-Nazis. Now, by the way, I don't even think that number's high enough. The number is probably much higher than that, because that's just what they admit, number one. And number two, the insignia that they use, it's like Nazi imagery. It's Nazi symbology. And there's been a scandal around the Azov Battalion as well, because, I mean, apart from the fact that they're neo-Nazis, because the U.S. actually funded them for a while, and then when it came to light, based on some good reporting, that, hey, we're sort of arming neo-Nazis and the CIA is training neo-Nazis, we cut off the funding for them. But then a few years later, when nobody was looking, we went back and started funding them again. And so, look, man, we're going to get to more on this later, but this really has shades of like what the United States did in Afghanistan when Russia was in Afghanistan waging a war. What did we do? We armed and funded and propped up the Mujahideen and pretended they were freedom fighters. And then, of course, Osama bin Laden came out of that. We got, you know, you got to split up. You got the Taliban, you got Al-Qaeda, but they were funded quite a bit by the U.S., and they were our ally. We were using them in a proxy war against Russia. And now you're seeing a similar thing in Ukraine, that we're funding and arming and propping up, and they're officially part of the Ukrainian government, the Azov Battalion. And I don't know, guys, it strikes me that maybe arming neo-Nazis to the teeth is not a good idea. Now, a lot of people are using the Azov Battalion to then sort of imply or outright state, well, then the entire Ukrainian government are neo-Nazis. That makes no sense. It's not true. Zelensky is Jewish. So it's inaccurate to pretend like 100% of the Ukrainian military or 100% of Ukrainians are far right or are neo-Nazis. That's not accurate. But having said that, for the love of God, you have to axe the Azov Battalion from the National Guard ranks. And I mean, I obviously don't think they're going to do it. Why? Because right now they're being invaded. Like, Ukraine is being invaded, and so they'll take anybody and everybody. I mean, they banned boys, I think, age 18 to 60 from leaving Ukraine. It's like they're making them fight. And so they're going to take any help that they could possibly get. Members of the American neo-Nazi terror group Adam Waffen Division also joined the Azov Battalion. So you have like some American far-right types who went to go fight alongside the Azov Battalion. Reports published by the Office of the United Nations High Commission for Human Rights have connected the Azov Battalion to war crimes such as mass looting, unlawful detention, and torture. In CHR report from March 2016 stated the organization had collected detailed information about the conduct of hostilities by Ukrainian armed forces in the Azov regiment in and around Shirikin. That's close to Mariupol. From the summer of 2014 to date, mass looting of civilian homes was documented, as well as targeting of civilian areas between September 2014 and February 2015. So, look, don't get it twisted. Keep it real. There are genuine examples of these neo-Nazis being the aggressors in, the Donbass region, which is the region that Putin declared as, these are independent states now, because these are ethnic Russians and, they're under attack from the ethnic Ukrainians. There have been examples, for sure, of them being the aggressors. And, the existence of the Azov battalion, I wouldn't be surprised if that is probably one of the main reasons why about 80% of the civilians who were killed in the fighting in the Donbass region were on the Russian side of the equation. And so, when you talk about these conflicts, man, you can't just, shut your mind off and pick a side and then go rah-rah for your side. That doesn't make sense. You have to look at it objectively and fairly and take in all the information, and you make decisions based on principles, And what we're talking about here is a giant group of human rights violators and torturers and far-right extremists, and you got to axe them from the Ukrainian National Guard. You have to do it. I mean, think about how far gone they must be in order to promote what they're doing there on Twitter proudly. Like, you're promoting what is flat out like an Islamophobic terror idea here. Let's kill these Muslims and send them to hell, and look at our wonderful neo-Nazi brethren who are defending the homeland. So that is absolutely disgusting. Everybody should condemn this. But also, let's be clear, that doesn't, as a lot of people would like to have you believe, which don't believe it because it's idiotic, this doesn't then mean that, Putin invading a sovereign nation is now okay because the Azov battalion exists. No, multiple things can be wrong at once. And as we talked about before, this narrative of Putin is only acting defensively because NATO expanded to his border, and they view that as aggressive from the West. That might be part of it, but in his own words, he gave an hour-long speech where half of the speech was blood and soil stuff. Half of the speech was, hey man, you guys owe us. Ukraine owes us. You used to be ours. You should have never not been ours. My predecessor should have never let you, waltz out of the Soviet Union willy-nilly without paying us back. You're in debt to us. We shared a culture with you. And so now we're going to bring back the correct state of affairs, which is basically, you are ours. And so you can't just erase Putin's fascism and imperialism because you have fascists and imperialists on the other side. You can condemn both things. So anyway, there you have it. Azov battalion, absolutely disgusting. And in the same way, I wish nothing positive for the imperialists on the Russian side. I wish nothing positive for the fascists on the Ukrainian side. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You want to.